So we tried to film this podcast episode yesterday and everything failed because we had an audio problem because Kennedy is in a virtual simulation right now. So you said, Kennedy, that you were going to tell me a joke. What's the joke?
This just poked me in my...
I don't remember.
It's a feather.
Mom, can you stop ruining the podcast?
We all get into moods. We all don't have to be bubbly and laughy and happy all the time.
But then I would say I'm in a bad mood because blah, blah, blah.
Okay, well,
or this is bothering me because blah, blah, blah.
You are someone who expresses yourself very openly. I am not like that.
But
I don't sit and talk about my feelings openly.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with also... You are who you are, and I don't think of you as like a super bubbly, like cheery person, but I don't mean that in a bad way. That's just
I think Claudia definitely got more of Dad's personality and genetics in that sense, and Ken, you got more of Mom's. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I'm like a good hybrid, I would say.
No, you're not.
I'm sorry, Claudia.
You're like Dad.
If I could have given you more of my talkative, blabbering genes, I would have.
Mom,
I'm fine. I like who I am, so I'm good there.
You can literally talk to anyone though, which I think is a really good skill to have. It's insane.
Funny because you guys used to never think that was good.
Well, it used to annoy me.
Yeah.
Because you would talk to anyone and it would make me like uncomfortable. You would talk to
I know.
strangers on the street,
you would get very mad at me.
Yeah. You would say comments as if they're your best friend.
Right.
But now I appreciate it. I think that's really hard to do. And I think a lot of people are too scared to even talk to other people nowadays.
Yeah, I think it is definitely, I mean, you want to be careful who you go talk to because you don't want to start a conversation that you can't get out of. But I never thought it was bad. I get that from my mom.
I also see that in Kennedy. I thought Kennedy was always really introverted, but she will actually talk to anyone, especially if she has a little bit of alcohol in her. But besides that,
we're like,
yeah, you're not. It's weird, Kennedy, because you're not really introverted. You're actually a very extroverted person. I think
I would say I'm both. When I take the personality test, it's almost right in the middle, but I feel like I am introverted because I can spend like an entire week by myself. Like I haven't really been hanging out with anyone the last few days. I haven't really seen anyone. I've just been going on walks by myself, and I love that.
Didn't you also got COVID though, so that's why.
Yeah,
one of the reasons.
I had COVID when we filmed the last one, and by the end of it, I was like dying, and I didn't know I had COVID at that point. But yeah, I'm a survivor. I made it through. That's right. I'm immunocompromised, and I survived COVID. And I did lose my taste and smell, but it's slowly coming back.
That's good.
I can smell my shit now.
Well, that sucks. I lost my smell of my ability to smell shit about 2 or 3 years ago now, and I think it's been a life changer, honestly.
Wait a minute,
That's why you smell like all the time.
You can
I smell wonderful, Claudia.
How would you know if you can't smell? I don't want to smell your hair.
Brandon,
make her smell my hair.
I thought you could smell everything again. I thought it all came back.
I'll throw you off that couch.
What was that?
What?
I thought it all came back.
No, it didn't. Not my smell of shit.
You need to smell the essential oils I got you.
I'm done. I'm cutting it off now. I have all my smell back. I can smell everything, but I can't smell shit. It's great. Moving on. Essential oil. Yeah. I was talking about Kennedy being an extrovert. I actually think Claudia and I are a bit more on the introverted side because sometimes I notice this with Claudia. She's the same as me in this regard. When we're in public and somebody does something really awkward, we like close up.
I don't close up. I'm an empath and I feel for them, so I don't want to make it a big deal.
Or they get embarrassed.
I do the same thing though. I realize you and I have that in common. Yeah, it's like when somebody, it's the thing when we were kids and you would talk to a random person, it was the same thing.
You guys hated it so much.
Why do you have to say something to everyone? Oh my God, you would get
so angry at me and make me feel so uncomfortable. You know who else does that or did that? Your dad.
Oh, he would get uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
That's where we got it from then.
There was one time where we went out to eat. We went out to eat and I saw this guy.
But
there's a big delay.
Your mouth is moving when you talk.
You're not delayed. They're legit just cutting you off.
You're not delayed.
Listen, one time I went out with Dad, it like towards the end, right before we were getting divorced, because I was like trying to like make it work, and we were at this restaurant, and I'm trying to like be this artist that I am, and I'm like trying to like come out of my shell, and I see this random guy that has all these like, you ever see those black and white pictures that people take pictures of the photographs, and it's really deep lines in people's faces, and it's just a really cool black and white. I wanted to I wanted to take a picture of this guy at the table. And he was sitting alone. And I said to Dad, do you mind if I go take a picture of that guy? He's like, what? He let me have it. He was like, if you do that, I'm walking out of here. And I was okay, you know what? We are done.
That is like, a little weird, though.
It was weird, but I think that the guy would have appreciated it. This guy was so different looking. Like, he didn't look like he belonged anywhere where we were.
Tell me if you think this is weird. I was in a coffee. I think I told the girls this. I was in a coffee shop, and this girl, I saw her with a camera. She was sitting across from me. I was sitting on a couch like this. She was sitting across from me, and I kept hearing the camera clicking. But when I'm focusing on work, I just kept hearing the camera clicking, and out of the corner of my eye, I like saw this girl with the camera. And when I'm working, I'm super focused. So it's like, you know, when you like kind of know something's happening, but you sort of ignore it as if it's not happening. This girl was taking pictures of me from across the thing, and I knew she was, because what happened is she started taking pictures of everyone else in the coffee shop. I think it's like a thing to take like candid photos of people in coffee shops.
I think you should let somebody know that, though.
This lady freaked out on her. She's like, "Are you taking pictures of me?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm like doing it for a school project or something."
Yeah, she's probably a Towson photographer or whatever.
This woman was so mad. See, I wasn't that mad. I was like, why didn't she just ask me and say, "Hey,
that's weird. I wouldn't want, if someone was taking photos of me from a distance, I'd feel extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, I feel like people should ask permission for that.
Just
kind
say
of thing.
like, I'm taking photos for a project. Like, keep doing what you're doing, and if you don't mind, I'm just gonna snap photos. No big deal.
That's one thing I hate about social media. Is the tendency for people to like film people in public without their permission, or take pictures of them, or like when they come up to them and randomly start interviewing them. Like, nobody wants that. Like, stop doing that. That's weird as if somebody was taking pictures of me.
Some people would want it. You just have to ask. Like,
in an intimate,
permission.
also that coffee shop is so small and like intimate. If you want to go take if your school project is to take candid photos of strangers, do it from afar at like a park or something. Like, don't go into a coffee shop and start clicking your massive camera.
Creepy.
She was this far away from the two
she's ballsy.
Yeah, she was this far away from the woman who got mad at her. She was going like this.
That's so rude.
And they were having just a business conversation, and he's like, and you can hear the camera. It's one of the Canons that's
okay, but you have to understand, like, think of it in this way. There's some people who maybe they live like a low profile life. They're not on social media. They don't want to be out there on the internet or anything. They're insecure about how they look. And this girl's in her face taking photos. Like, imagine if, like, for example, maybe her ex-husband is like a psycho stalker, and her getting her image out there anywhere can like give away where she's living and make him be able to find her. Like, that's what I think.
To, like, if they're using it for anything at all, even school, don't they have to get permission, like sign?
I'm pretty sure you do.
So you think she walked around afterwards and asked for signatures?
No, she probably was lying. It probably wasn't a school project.
No, right. She's probably a fan and wanted just taking pictures of you.
No, I don't think she was, because she was taking pictures of everyone in there, which was crazy. It kind of reminds me. So I don't think the taking pictures thing is that bad, but it kind of reminds me of there's these like Nuisance TikTokers. Have you heard of that?
No.
Do you know what a Nuisance TikToker is, Kennedy?
I mean, it sounds self-explanatory.
It's like the kids who go into a Walmart basically and
start just for no reason.
And you know, there's like ball pit things. They'll start like they'll empty the whole ball pit thing, so they just go all over the Walmart. Although they'll like knock stuff off the shelves, because
that just sounds
the way it works on TikTok is like, it's not like you post a good high value TikTok and it gets likes. Like you put something controversial or crazy on there. Yeah, because yours are so controversial. You put something crazy on there.
I was saying I post non-annoying ones.
Oh, non-annoying ones?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know who's liking that though, because I wouldn't like that.
It does extremely well. It's just not on your algorithm because you don't follow that.
But it's so stupid, because if they're doing that and then their faces are on there, like they can get in trouble for like vandalizing the store.
Yeah, but what happens is they're getting views on YouTube and TikTok and other places, and then you make money for it, and then they keep doing it because it makes them more money. And these kids are buying Lamborghinis by doing like really fucked up content.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
You guys aren't in that part of social media.
Thank God, because that would piss me off.
You probably see baking videos and makeup videos on your
No, feeds. I see some weird shit on my Instagram reels sometimes, but not annoying stuff like that.
Well, I skip those videos because they stress me out.
Same.
Rage bait.
Yeah, it makes you angry.
That's insane.
Oh yeah, that's
what's even worse. What's even worse is since Elon Musk bought Twitter, which is now X, you can post whatever you want on there, no matter how bad it is. So there's people committing on X.
That's sick.
It's horrible.
Like,
okay, well, can I just say that ever since he bought Twitter, I have not gone on it at
I don't go on that ever.
I used to be on Twitter
very, like, anti-Elon, though.
I never used to go on it to begin with, but now I really don't.
I just post my body paint on there.
I'm not even anti-Elon Musk. I just, first of all, Twitter is like a super toxic place. And it used to be a great place. Yeah. It used to be a great place to connect. And I used to interact with people all the time on there. I had like, honestly, like a good network of people on there, and I made friends through it and everything. And I would talk to my followers on there and stuff. And then it just became like a fucking dumpster fire. And
I don't understand how it can stay like that. How are they allowed to do that? I don't get it. Where there's no rules.
He can do whatever he wants. He owns the platform.
Yeah. I know, but still, it's like there's no laws against like.
No, this is what happened. He bought it because he wanted there to be more like freedom of speech.
Yeah,
but with more freedom of speech on a social media platform like that comes a lot of controversial content. And there's polarizing opinions. So the content that does the best on X is when two people disagree and have really polarizing opinions. That's how you do well on that platform. So if something happens, if you either have if you have some form of extremist opinion, you do better.
Yeah,
so that's why it becomes
still don't understand like the whole committing type thing. Like that is not cool.
It's because people can upload any content they want to the platform.
Yeah, trust me, I know. I've seen some
literally it does nothing gets taken down. On YouTube, you say and they go and take the video down or demonetize you. Yeah. But on X, you can literally post anything as long as it's not a crime.
It's like opposite issues. YouTube is they censor too much, in my opinion, because the things that they'll restrict a video for is like ridiculous. And with something like Twitter now, there's literally no censorship. So it's just like it's like another Reddit now.
Do you guys get demonetized on your YouTube videos?
No.
You don't?
No.
Why would I get demonetized?
I don't know. Something stupid.
Yeah, what would cleaning her kitchen?
I don't know, man. I feel like they're really strict.
Yes, my engagement video, because Jesse said in the first 5 seconds, it got demonetized.
That's unbelievable. What's wrong with saying it's just a word.
I say a lot in my videos.
It got limited. So.
It was in the first 5 minutes or seconds.
15 seconds you can't
yeah, there you go.
Because he was like, oh.
Have you ever seen one of those word cloud things where it's like how many times a word is said or something? I don't know. Mm-hmm. If they did some kind of experiment on YouTube or something about which YouTubers have said the most, I guarantee we're in like the top 10.
Yeah, but what I don't understand is
probably.
like it's a word that isn't really a harmful word. It actually just means nothing. So
I mean, it means something, but
not really. Like it's not, if it's not harmful towards anyone, it's not offending anyone.
Listen,
why should it be something that we can't say?
And you know why we say so much? Because of our parents. Because mom's favorite word growing up was
that's why my ring says
Well, there was actually a study that's saying that word releases a lot of aggression.
It would just be a natural thing for me. It just came out. There was nothing
you and Dad said it so much when we were growing up. It just became second nature. Dad told me growing up
that it meant nothing and I was allowed to say it. So.
How old were you?
I don't remember. 8, 9.
2.
She probably was 2.
Probably.
You can barely speak when you're 2. Can you imagine your vocabulary is like Dad, Mom,
I spoke full sentences.
She's talked a lot when she was 2.
Did she speak before us? Was she the first?
No, you were all pretty good. But she would have sentences where she would just like say things. One of my favorite sayings that she would say was she'd be sitting on the thing on like a sofa or a chair drawing. She's saying, I'm drawing sequins.
Oh, I remember that.
And they would be little tiny circles. And I'm like, I would look down at it and it'd be like these little squiggle circles all over the paper. And I'm like, that's secrets? And she's like, I'm drawing sequins.
I think I thought I was writing.
Do you remember that?
I used to think I was writing cursive, but I was just drawing nothing.
But what did secrets mean? Do you remember that?
No.
Probably like she thought she was writing.
Isn't it weird that you don't remember anything when you're 2 and you're kind of just relying on your parents to
No, you know what I think is even weirder?
No, I don't think you remember it consciously, but I think like deep down in your subconscious it's there.
No, here's what I think is even weirder, and I've been thinking about it a lot, that my grandparents aren't here anymore, but they were here, and then before that we weren't here, so where were we?
Non-existent.
Yeah, but what were we doing? Is it black? Like, these are my thoughts that are going anything. Like, what is happening?
Wasn't a
Mom,
thing.
you should watch the Disney movie Soul. Have you seen that?
No, I think I saw the previews.
You should watch it. You would really like it. It's your kind of spirituality type stuff. I'm just having a really hard time with like, and it's not that I'm afraid of death or anything like that. I'm trying to figure out like,
it's just like too many unanswered questions, and it's literally I'm finding myself thinking about it daily.
I was telling mom the other day, I was like, I don't even think like that. My brain, I've literally trained my brain, and I still train it every single day to be so present that I don't think about the future, and I do think about the past a lot, but I think that's necessary for growth.
But that's not even thinking the future. It's just thinking like, where were we? Where were we before we were born? Where do we go when we die?
I have a question for you, actually.
What?
So like growing up as a kid, you're told like Santa Claus exists, right? You're told there's like an Easter bunny and stuff. And the purpose of this is when you're a kid is to give you something to, it's something that helps you be like a better person as you're growing up in age.
Imagination.
Exactly. So my question, and I don't necessarily like to use the word like a God, because I think a lot of people perceive the word God differently. So some kind of like supernatural higher being that's like part of nature in some way, whatever you want to call it, however you interpret it. But when we were kids, you taught us that God existed. What made
I said
you,
God, or did I say I said God.
No, you would say God then. Because I remember when we were younger, like definitely having some sort of like God-driven belief. And I think it was because of you. So what made you instill that in us? Because you're not necessarily a religious person.
I mean, I do believe in higher power. I do believe in like, the universe is so much bigger and grand than everything, else. It's like we're like basically nothing if you really think about it compared to everything that's out there far and beyond. But like, that's how I was taught. So I was taught that there was, I guess, a God and like, I don't know, like somebody to pray to or something to like wish for something but now I look at it differently. I don't necessarily think like there's a God like he or she or a God like I used to say to you kids, but it's a universe. So it's like still I believe like karma, is a thing. Do good, be kind, and karma will go around. That's what I
believe. And I've believed ever since I was a kid. I believed in karma because of you. But I also just, it always seemed right to me. Like that seemed right. The energy you put out is what you get back. And ever since I was a kid, that's why I never did anything truly bad or mean, because I had that in my head.
Honestly, that was the most important thing that I wanted to teach you kids. Like, just be a good person. Don't do anything that's like malicious or bad, or if you want to do something for yourself and it's not hurting anybody around you, then fine, do it. There's nothing wrong with that. And I truly feel like obviously it worked because, look at you guys, like you're amazing people.
Well, I was thinking about this. I think if you didn't like instill that narrative in our heads, like if you're a kid, what makes you want to do anything good if there's no story to attach yourself to as to why you should be doing good things.
I also
because you could just be an evil kid and be like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's crazy because like I was raised a certain way, and then I am not really religious. I never was really religious, and I don't believe in one religion. I mean, for me, I'm fine with whoever wants to believe whatever they want to believe, but I do think that of all of the religions that I've kind of like tapped into, and believe me, I don't know much about any of them, but I do know Buddhism was like such an interesting thing because it was all about reincarnation. So if you're like a piece of shit on this earth right now, you're going to come back on that Buddha wheel. Because I went to a Buddhist museum back in New York when you kids were little. You were there. I don't know if you remember it. She probably remembers.
I do because I remember the pictures.
Yeah.
Wasn't there pictures of us outside?
Dress. Yeah. A little purple dress with it next to an elephant. But it was so interesting because it's a wheel, and it's like it shows you what you will come back as if you're this. So like I knew many, many people that will come back as a cockroach.
Wait, it was actually like a wheel.
Start all over again. There was a whole wheel.
How do you know what you're coming back as?
I don't remember how it worked.
Yeah, but what if living as a cockroach is like the best thing ever and we just don't know it?
I mean, if I had to put my money on it, I think living as a cockroach probably isn't that fun.
I think the highest was like a king or queen or something like that.
Yeah, but cockroaches don't have any stress in life.
Well, would you want to come back as a king or queen?
You don't know that.
No.
Like I don't know. I do agree that that the life of a king or a queen could be worse than a life of a cockroach. Mm-hmm. See, this is what people don't realize. Just because you have the status symbol as a king and queen,
that doesn't mean cockroaches don't like their life.
I think cockroaches do not know what the is going on. I think they're like little robots, basically.
And ignorance is bliss.
And they like,
so let's remove the part of your brain that has consciousness, take that away and give you some ignorance and see how you like that.
Well, no, I'm not saying,
I guess you won't even know.
I'm not saying as a human, we need a lot more to survive than a cockroach does.
No. What do you mean?
I'm just saying that we have no idea what. Never mind.
Ew, I don't like talking about cockroaches. Can we stop talking about them? I've had so many nightmares. Yeah. Hi, Jesse.
No, I wanted ice.
You son of a gun.
In a Stanley.
Is that who you were texting?
Yeah, I asked him to please get me a drink.
Oh, for any of you who are watching Claudia, why she's texting on the podcast, she's literally texting Jesse asking to get a drink. Juice.
My juice. Fruit punch, please.
Okay. In other news, there has officially been a bill passed that TikTok has to sell to U.S. company within 9 months. If they don't, it gets shut down.
Yeah, but I watched some video that like a lawyer was saying, he's like, it's not just that simple. Like he's like, it still has to go to like the U.S. Senate or something, and they have to approve it, and then TikTok can file for some thing saying that they're like unlawfully banning them. I don't know. There's more to it.
Can I be honest? I don't give a single about the TikTok issue.
What if it gets banned?
Who cares? Like, if it gets banned, it gets banned. We have no control over that.
That's your sister's livelihood you're talking about?
Yeah, but
Claudia is legit a TikToker.
You'd be fine. You'd be fine though. You'd figure something out.
It would go to Instagram. Yeah, it would be all right.
TikTok brings me a lot of happiness in terms of what I
brings you and a lot of other people happiness.
No, I don't mean in what I watch. I mean in the terms of what I create on there. It's just different. It's not the same on Instagram. People are meaner on Instagram. I don't have the same community I do on there.
Okay, Claude, I want to get your thought on this because I think you're probably going to be the first one out of us, most likely, to have a kid, unless I've already have had one, which is there might be one out there. It's possible. You might be a grandmother, mom. I'm sorry. Anyway, so there's this movement right now to basically that parents are trying to like get together and initiate like a coalition here or some to basically remove and ban social media from kids until they're of age, like 16 or 18, the same way you would cigarettes or alcohol or like rated R movies or anything else. So I wanted to get your opinion here on.
Thank you,
Jesse. I wanted to get your opinion here on what you think about that. And if you had a kid right now, when would you allow them access to like a phone and social media?
Right away. Find another one.
How old would they have to be?
He's asking me.
I'm asking Claude first, and then I have questions for you guys.
Well, for one, I think that's the parent's choice. I don't think that should be up to like a group of parents to decide for everyone else's kid. Because if a parent wants to do that with their child and allow them to be on it, that's their choice. But when I have kids, I don't know. I mean, I can't say because I don't have kids right now, but I would, of course, limit their screen time. I would want them to be kids and go outside and have toys and whatever. I'm sure I would let them watch certain things like the movies that we got to watch when we were younger. Does a 10-year-old need TikTok? No, they definitely don't. There's way too much negativity on there and comments and things that people post and talk about that will poison a child's brain. But I will say we did definitely find our way around the negative on the internet when we were younger. But the thing is, it's like, for example, now there's this little girl. She has an that is, it's like a more mental I don't fully know about it, so I don't want to like say too much because I just don't know. But basically, she posts videos of her trying new foods. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's called like a lot. I forgot what it's called. I don't.
It's basically
I
like
can actually figure out what it's called.
It's an that doesn't allow her. It like gives her a fear of trying foods, like eating different foods, textures of foods. It gives her a lot of anxiety.
It's called Afrid.
And she's Afrid.
Yeah.
So she's posting these videos to spread awareness about it, basically, and she's the cutest little thing. And she posts videos trying new foods, and she'll say like, I'm gonna take one bite at least, or 2 bites at least, and then like sometimes she gets upset and she's like, I really don't like this, the texture of it doesn't taste good to me. And people will comment the meanest things, adults saying like, just eat it, like what's wrong with you, and all these things. And I'm like, she is like, I mean, hopefully she's not reading these comments, her parents hopefully don't allow it, but they're subjecting her to all this negativity from these adults on the internet. And I would just want to like at least shield my child to like a certain degree until they're a certain age and can more understand that it's like
TikTok doesn't have like parental guidelines on there.
It's Instagram.
My question
and they do,
is, how old is the girl? Is she posting it, or are her parents posting it on her behalf? So they're.
Well, I mean, I'm sure she knows how to use the app. I think she's 8 or 10.
Do you think that's awareness or exploitation?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, see, this is where I think it gets into like weird territory.
But I will say she's not so young that she doesn't understand. Like she understands what she's making these videos. Like she's sitting there and talking. Her mom's not next to her telling her what to do. I mean, maybe she is on the side, but the thing is, it's like she understands enough, and maybe this helps her try new foods because she gets to record herself doing it. She finds it fun. She might look up to someone who does it. So you really can't say like, oh, are they exploiting her? Because it might really help her cope with her.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just so many sides to it, but I just think
here's the thing is I feel like it's obviously on a different scale, but I think no matter what, you cannot protect your kid from all negativity, like whether it's some form of bullying or whatever. And this might be controversial to say, but I think to some degree everyone needs to experience negativity, because you can't think that the world is some positive, happy place. Like there's a kid I follow who has autism, and he does that too, where he has AFRID and he tries things on camera, and people will comment things like, just eat it. Why is he acting like that? And I'm like, first of all, he has autism and this disorder. I don't know. Is it an disorder?
it's considered an eating disorder, but I definitely think it's more like a mental eating disorder. Like it's not like with body image, it's more with the fear of certain like foods and textures.
I think people on the internet as a whole just lack empathy, and all of us are very empathetic people because we're decent human beings, but so many of these people just look at it. They don't care who it is, if it's a kid, if they have some sort of disorder, whatever, some sort of disability, they don't give a fuck. They just see like a face on a screen and they say whatever the hell they want. So I don't think
this leads me into this leads me into my next question for you, Kennedy. So apparently, based on statistics right now, Gen Z is the most mentally ill generation like ever, and that could be because they're actually documenting it more.
I was gonna say, just because we all decided to come out and say that. It could be
because they're documenting it more, but there is also a lot of correlation shown with the when social media came out around like 2012. That generation started becoming more mentally ill and extremely self-conscious because of the platform. So,
of course,
Kendi, I want your thoughts, because you're Gen Z. So is Gen Z more mentally ill than the other generations? Like I'm millennial, mom's boomer.
I think every generation is incredibly mentally ill. I think Gen Z is most vocal about it, and also when you're on social media and you see people talking about mental health, it makes you question your own mental health and then reflect on yourself. So then you start to be like, oh, do I have this? Do I have this? And it's just so, look at how autism is something that is so widely talked about now. And like, there's love on the spectrum. And I'm constantly seeing people posting things being like, questioning if they have autism when they never would have thought that before, because now autism isn't just one thing in people's heads. It can be so many different things because it's a spectrum. But like, yeah, I do think it's because we just talk about it more, and also medication is way more destigmatized than it used to be.
Do you think that could also cause a bad effect in a sense, where because people are aware of what autism is and all these they watch the video on TikTok, and even if they actually don't have a severe illness, they think they do, and then they start using that illness as leverage to get people to give them more attention? Because I think that's what's happening on social media.
Yeah, but it goes both ways. Like you can say that, but also it can open people's eyes to realize like, wow, I really don't have to be living like this, because this is not normal and something is wrong with me. Because honestly, like I don't think that I would have necessarily, I mean, like I knew something was wrong with me because of just how I was feeling, but also I was able to look it up on the internet and read so many other stories and listen to other people that went through the same exact thing. And it's not even just like, oh, a similar experience. It's like almost identical thoughts and issues when you have something that's like an actual diagnosis. I think the internet can be so helpful in that way because for one, you feel like you're not alone. You realize you're not crazy and you realize, oh, there is ways to get help. There's all these things I can do. You can do your own research and become educated on it without just reading textbooks that are like years and years old that don't have the newest information or don't have personal experiences from people.
I feel like my generation is just as equally mentally challenged. They just became alcoholics.
Okay, it's not mentally challenged. Mentally ill.
Mentally ill. Well, that's challenged too. So I think they became alcoholics.
Oh, well, so you think they used
that, and also there's a lot of people who will get diagnosed with something like autism in their 40s or 50s because now it's so much more talked about, and their whole life they were wondering, why do I feel different? Why does it feel like there's something just different about me that nobody understands me or I'm not like everyone else? And then now, because it's so universally talked about, they see a doctor and end up getting a diagnosis super late in life.
Well, that's better than never, but I feel like a lot of the people that I went to school with who had issues aren't here anymore because they got super depressed and they didn't probably go to a doctor and get diagnosed and get on some type of medication that'd be good for them. They tried to and then in that process they became addicted to whatever it was. So it would have saved probably a lot of their lives. You know, you see it constantly, and they're almost too afraid to go to the doctor to admit.
I was going to say, your generation is like not willing to get on medication.
Nope. They think
like, oh, that's for crazy people.
Exactly.
And then, and honestly, like I felt a little bit of that bleed over into my generation because even I would think, oh, I don't need medication. Like that's for people, like that's for crazy people, or like I'm not crazy, or I can handle my own mental health. And then the more I learned about it and the more I was like feeling these problems within my own self, I was like, okay, I don't have to live like this. Like this is miserable and I don't need to be miserable.
Especially like, I can't imagine like getting, older, like I'm getting older, but like I'm talking about like 80s and like those people who have been drinking all their lives and like they're like closer and closer to dying, and that feeling of like that anxiety that they never treated like coming full force, because I feel like it changes like every 10 years or 15 years. It just shifts. Either it gets worse in one way or another, and I literally have seen it with people because I can see people aging and that I've had in my life, and I see where they crack. It's like this certain time, and it's too late. Like it's like they're there and now they're suffering not only from being ill from their body breaking down, but now their brain is like also going to that level. And I know like Alzheimer's and dementia and all that stuff kicks in at some point, but I feel like if they're taking vitamins and minerals and doing certain things and seeing a doctor, it's gonna be better.
I think there is a clear difference between having an actual like biological, chemical, mental illness versus self-diagnosing something because life is hard. Like life is just naturally hard, and then they diagnose themselves with like depression or anxiety because life is hard, but that's just part of being a human, and then they use that as leverage.
I don't see anything wrong with that though. I think
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, but okay, so isn't that just being sad?
No, I don't agree with that, because I think that honestly, majority of people will experience anxiety or depression at one point in their life. And I'm not saying anxiety is necessarily like, oh, if you experience anxiety even once, you need medication, but like no one should have to be depressed. That's not like a requirement of being a human being, is you have to sit there and feel depressed. If there's a way to treat it, even if it's just therapy, it doesn't mean you need medication.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
But everyone should, it's not normal to have to deal with that.
Here's what I'm saying. Depression is in a sense sitting in something that happened in the past, and sort of like it's like when it loops in your brain over and over again and then gives you the feeling of no hope, basically.
Well, that's like ruminating, but
yeah, but it's like part of what depression is.
It can come from so many different things.
What I'm saying is I think there's a root to what is causing that, and I think a lot of what exists is sort of putting a band-aid on it and it goes away. It's almost like deleting it from your brain, in a sense, like deleting the feeling from your brain.
And who wouldn't want to do that?
I'm saying it's not addressing what the actual issue is. So it's like maybe there's an issue there that therapy can get to.
Well, no, because I think there's a lot of people that have just a straight up chemical imbalance, and it's not like.
Well, I said that's a different scenario, but there's a lot of people who are in a sense self-diagnosing that thing exists without like. I mean, I'm not aware of how this is tested or how they get to the bottom of it, but we're at the point in society where like even if you're like slightly just sad, not necessarily depressed, but slightly sad about something, you can get medicated for it. Somebody will give you medication, which means any problem that you potentially have, you can opt out in some with some form of modern medicine. I'm not saying that it's not good for people who have a serious problem. I think if you have a serious problem and it's affecting your life on a large scale, then yes, you should consider something like that. That's why medication exists and it's useful for a lot of people. But if you're just slightly sad, like I feel like there's a lot of kids now who are younger and they're slightly sad, and because of Instagram, I've ever been talking about how medicated they are, and it's literally a trend. Then a 13-year-old wants to hop on some kind of to fix the fact that maybe they got bullied in school and it made them sad, but they don't have a mental illness.
They should hop on a treadmill.
Do you see what I'm saying though? Like it's blowing so far out of proportion.
Exercise will help.
Okay, that's not good advice.
Time.
And also, I think
exercise is good advice.
That's when it's a parent's responsibility to step in and talk to their kid and see if there's something like. These kids shouldn't be making these decisions. That's why when you're a kid, your parent is there to help you make these important decisions, and your parent should be aware of whatever you're going through.
Exactly. And that's sort of another problem where...
So it all comes down to people being shitty parents.
Well, when you're a parent, you can comfort your kid and you can be kind to them and be empathetic and all that stuff, but you have to have some form of authority as a parent. If the kid thinks that they have full control over the relationship between themselves and their parent, then anything they say goes. If they want to be medicated because TikTok told them to, then they can do that.
I can't wait to see Brandon as a dad. See what kind of dad you're going to be.
I think he'll be a great dad.
Your kid cannot look at you as this on the same level as them.
When I was growing up, I viewed mom as my best friend. When I was like 9-10 years old, I felt like I could say anything to her. Mom was still an authority figure.
Yes. And that's a good thing, but she was still the parent. And at the end of the day, what she said goes. It's not like you could say, hey mom, I'm going to go like sleep in my friend's house for 2 weeks. Fuck you. She'd be like, no, you're not doing that.
Parents. I feel like that's obvious.
That's just basically because I respected her though.
Yeah, but there's a lot of parents now who just let their kids do whatever they want.
It was also, you guys were really, really good. I'm not just saying this. You were really good kids. I mean, other than like, you're the teenage things that she went through or whatever.
Basically just me.
No, it's not just you.
Brandon did fucked up shit.
She was sick. She couldn't do anything. Brandon definitely did. I didn't know half the shit he did.
I was sick. I was not sick my entire teenage years.
I don't know what you did.
I was not sick my entire teenage years.
You were all really, really good kids. That's my point. My point was that you were all really good kids, and I hardly had to discipline. So when I had to, I did, and most of the time I didn't have to.
Yeah, you didn't discipline us, but Dad definitely did.
I feel like
you two strike the balance. You were like the super empathetic,
she definitely
talkative
did discipline us at some point.
I did.
Oh yeah, you put soap in my mouth once.
She chased us with a spoon, but we were laughing at her.
You really had to piss me off in order for me to like do something like that. It had to be something really bad or just disrespectful. That whatever you did for that soap was disrespectful.
Well,
I do believe that kids need discipline. I do believe they need discipline.
Yeah.
So do adults.
Yeah, mom, you were a good parent because you were empathetic and you communicated. And you did let us do what we wanted to do to a point. We had our own freedom.
For the most part, I wanted you to freedom.
Not me.
But you still,
for the most part, you had freedom.
Yeah, you still would correct us if we did something wrong, and you made it clear that you are the parent. We're not like on a. We weren't on an equal playing field. We're kids. We were 10 years old.
Yeah.
You were the parent. You were the one taking care of us.
I feel like I explained it though. I wasn't like, you're punished.
No, you're
this, you're that.
I feel like we wanted parents. Like, you know what I mean? Like some kids, they just don't want anything to do with their parents. Like we still wanted our like, not that this would change anything because our parents were still our parents and they had authority over us, but like, I don't know. We wanted that. We found comfort in having our parents. So naturally we're going to have respect for them.
It all comes down to, does the kid like their parents? Do you want their respect? Do you want their validation?
The parents.
If your kid doesn't respect you, they're never going to listen to you. They're going to want to piss you off.
I feel like if there was an issue that came up, the way that I personally handled it, I can't say for dad, but for me, is that I would sit down and actually have a conversation first and talk to you and explain, this is this scenario, this is this scenario. What do you think is the best way to go about it? Like, I wouldn't just be like, you're punished to give me, I know that one time where.
Yes, you did.
You know why? Because that was influence. Because I was like under some kind of, because it wasn't.
The amount of times my phone was taken away, I wasn't allowed to go to my friends' houses.
It's that I didn't.
And you know what it did? It made me lie to you.
I understand. He was a bad influence to me, but in so many ways, like I can look back and say I was actually scared of him to a degree because I didn't like confrontation and I didn't want to fight with him. And I knew that if I just agreed with him with certain things that weren't that big of a deal, that in many ways, yes, he was right as far as the discipline, the things you were doing were wrong, but that's not the way I would have handled it if it was just me.
Yeah, but the thing is, I would have been so open with you and just told you exactly what I was doing.
I know.
But instead, I just didn't, and I would sneak around and do the things anyway.
Yeah, and then I would end up arguing with him anyway. So, you know, that's why he was gone. That's why he didn't last much longer. But you know, that's another thing in parents. There's somebody who's influencing. It could be a bad influence to somebody who would handle things differently, and just punishing a child is not, even an adult, is just not going to work. They need to be worked with. They need to be understood of why they did this, where their brain is thinking, and where they're headed from that. And if you sit down and actually explain to a child, and I'm talking like a 4 to 5 year old child, they are smart enough to understand what you're saying. You can actually make sense to them and get a really, really good like start for them in life to learn
and that
the right and the wrong.
It's the most impressionable and important age. From like, isn't it 1 to 6 is the most like malleable your brain is?
Yeah, you know what people do nowadays? Here's my phone. Here's an iPad. Here, go watch television. Go play this game. They don't take the time with children, that from what I've seen, that actually, that's why we have so many problems as teenagers, as they get into the teenagers and early adulthood, because their parents, like you said, going after the main problem, which means going back. I'm not trying to sound like, you know, cliche, because that's what it is. Oh, you always got to go back to where they started from, but it's true. You go way back and find out the first problem that had happened. And that's why I also think like, what is it? Hypnotism therapy works, because I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it work.
I just relate it to other aspects of life. Like, you could use an analogy of like a building that exists or something. And like, let's say that something falls off the building and it's starting to crumble. So they keep just like patching it up with more concrete when maybe the foundation was actually so funny, really bad and the building's about to fall over. He always
taught me, build the foundation the right way and the building will never fall. So you just build it up.
It's just really hard to go back and rebuild the foundation or recognize the fact that the foundation might be screwed up.
Well, you kind of can.
When someone's an adult, it's really hard to fix that damage.
But it is hard to fix, but I know for a fact, because of somebody close to me that did this, that went back because she wanted to make it work so bad. Like, in her own brain, she wanted freedom in her own brain. And
that's the thing though, is they have to be willing to change. They have to be want open to change.
Right.
Yeah. And there's so many people. Yeah. So many people are not.
And it's not even change. It's more like, heal yourself. It's more like find out what is bothering you.
A lot of people think that there is nothing wrong with them. They think it's wrong with everyone else.
Well, the hardest thing is admitting. I mean, isn't that like your 7 steps of any kind of addiction? Admit it is the first step.
Too many people in this world are not self-aware. Too many people have a massive ego and they let their ego rule them. And that's why narcissists exist. And if more people could just admit when they are wrong and admit and not just think that, this is what pissed me off. People sometimes will say that I think I'm always right. And if I'm confident in something, I'll be confident in that opinion. But I think you can all attest to the fact that I can admit when I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. I think we all can. I don't think we like to hear it, but I think we all can.
Because if you cannot admit when you're wrong, you will be an intolerable, insufferable person to be around. And nobody will want to be around you.
Sucks. Yeah.
Well, it's really hard to admit your flaws and admit that you might be the person that's wrong in the situation.
Well, because it makes you feel embarrassed.
That's hard to develop that.
And stupid. It makes you feel bad about yourself.
I think when I was unhappy, I had a hard time admitting when I was wrong because I was unhappy. But if you like yourself as a person, there's nothing wrong with being wrong sometimes. Like, I have no problem in my current life admitting when I'm wrong, and I've never been the type of person to be like, I'm 100% right and there's nothing you can tell me to change my mind. I've always been open to hearing people's opinions, and I've always been like, okay, well, I might not know everything because I don't think I know everything. There's certain things that I'm very confident I know a lot about, like cats. And there's certain things I'm confident I don't know a lot about, like lots of things, like geography.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. Life is so complex and there's so many different things to think about on a daily basis. I would think about this all the time, how like, I mean, I'm almost 30, which
that blows my mind.
Feels kind of old now, but
that makes me feel old. Think how I feel.
Think about 30
Don't
years.
Don't say 30 is old.
But just think about this: 30 years in the like.
What are you gonna do for your 30th birthday?
For my 30.
No age is old.
You're 30 this year.
I don't like celebrating my own birthday. It feels weird to me. It's like, oh, congratulations, I lived another year.
Yeah, celebrate life. It's just short.
All it is celebrating the year you're born.
It feels so like
birthdays are more of a other people who love you want to celebrate you.
Yeah.
Right. Or it's also like, just like celebrating the when you were born, when you came into the world. It's like I said before, where were you before that? Mm-hmm. You were nowhere.
Yeah, but also I feel like it's just like another you should celebrate that you lived another year, because life is too short and it can get taken from you in a second. So why
I do
not?
like having celebrations. Like I realized like weddings I think are super fun, because it's just a bunch of people basically letting loose. And I feel like weddings are the one time where everyone's like, F everything else that's going on in the world. And
free alcohol.
They literally just focus on that day and nothing else, because it's such a big event. Mm-hmm. So
okay,
I really like those sorts of things.
That's a perfect example of why living in the moment will make you the happiest you've ever been, because a wedding is a perfect example of everybody at that wedding is living in the moment. You're all there to celebrate these two specific people. And especially if you're at a wedding where you can tell these two people are actually in love. Like I went to Scarlett's older brother's wedding last year, and I was crying the entire time they were giving speeches and the entire ceremony. And it wasn't even like, I didn't even have a deep personal connection to it. It was just like seeing two people that genuinely are so in love with each other and so happy to be getting married. It's like, I don't even ever really truly plan to get married, or I have my own opinion about marriage as a whole, but like, it's just to feel so in the moment. That's literally what something like a wedding does. It forces you to be present.
Mm-hmm. So does a funeral.
Yeah, but in a different context, I guess.
Yeah, because when I'm at a funeral, I'm literally in the moment thinking like, again, about
life,
people and life.
Life doesn't mean too much when you...
Well, because it makes you question those big moments of life. And I think like birth, marriage, having kids, and dying are like the four main ones.
Birth is amazing.
At the end of the day, everyone's going to die. Doesn't matter how successful you are.
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
matter
the craziest
where you were born.
Thing.
Doesn't matter how healthy you are, unless AI comes out that makes you live forever, which might happen. But everyone dies.
Yep.
Everyone dies.
I actually find comfort in that.
Eats.
I find comfort in the fact that everyone's going to die, because it's like, it doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, what you look like, how much money you have. You are going to die one day. That is inevitable.
Yeah, no one has a leg up.
Imagine how horrible the world would be if you lived longer, if you were more successful.
That would be really
would be literally killing their way to the top.
Well, I would be a vampire.
Well, in a way, it kind of is like that.
That would be living forever and killing my way to the top.
Well, there actually is there's a biohacking trend right now for people who are like multimillionaires and billionaires who are literally trying to find ways to live forever. The guy Jesse did the collab with is a good example.
I don't even know why anyone would want to live that fucking long. Like, I feel like by the time I'm in my 80s, if I make it that far, I'm going to be like, all right, it's been good.
It's definitely, I would guess it is a fear of death, and then the want to accumulate as much money and power as possible.
I look at people like that though, and I'm like,
mainly fear.
You're a new soul. You haven't been here before.
You need to watch the movie Soul on Disney. It's good. I watch it with kids.
If that's from that,
you would love it. You would love it, Mom.
Especially if that's from...
No.
Yeah,
Mom, you would love it.
It's really good and creative. I was like, damn, I would show this to my kid. It's like a really good message. Yeah. Watch Soul on Disney.
I remember really liking it. That's the thing. Those Pixar movies, they always have a really good message laced throughout them.
Pixar, whoever's making these Pixar movies, man, like the storylines for an animated film are insane.
That is what that's all your kids need to be watching. They don't need to be watching Mr. Beast on YouTube. No offense, Mr. Beast. I don't even know what kind of content he makes. Except I will say, I have been binge watching Ryan Trahan's videos and they are so good.
Yeah. Ryan Trahan's killing it.
He's good, but I still don't think they're for kids. I don't think kids need to be watching that.
What are your kids gonna watch? Are you gonna go back to like the old movies, like
School Bus?
They're gonna watch Disney. They're gonna watch all the things that give kids an imagination and not
Magic School Bus. You guys loved that show.
Like I just think the Disney movies are like incredible. Why would they not want to grow up watching that? Like I feel like every kid, like Finding Nemo and Shrek, I loved those freaking movies as a kid. Like they were so good.
They have such good wholesome stories, and I really, Ken, you were talking about a kid's brain developing around when they're like a toddler or whatever. That's when you're watching those kind of movies and you're watching these narratives that have such good messages to them. And I think it really helps the kid develop into somebody who's like a decent human being.
Yeah.
I think half the reason we did, I do think you were really good at parenting us, but you like constantly either read us stories or we watched movies with you that had to do with those sorts of messages, and it gets ingrained in your head as you're growing up.
Get the hairs out of your eyes.
I'm going full TikToker right now.
It's like I can...
My hair's just growing.
I've been trying to train my brain because I have this one recurring dream where I'm always in elementary school, but I'm older and I don't know where my next class is and I don't know where my car is. And in my head, it's the car I had in high school. And I go outside into the parking lot and I can't remember if I drove myself to school, if mom dropped me off.
So
and
weird.
I don't know how I'm going to get home. And I have it so much that I've been trying to train my brain to be like, okay, when you're having these thoughts, tell yourself you're in a dream. Tell yourself you're in a dream. And last night I did it. I started having one of those dreams. And the second I felt it in the dream, I was like, you're in a dream, you're in a dream, you're in a dream. And I didn't wake up, but like the dream sort of started to like crumble and melt away. And that's all I remember. But I was like, holy shit, I kind of did that.
You were almost lucid dreaming. Yeah, dreams are crazy. We should just have an episode. We should have an episode interpreting dreams. I have a in my journals, I have like dream entries.
That would be cool.
My dreams are the most detailed, wild things that I never would think of in my normal everyday life. I live like 20 different lives in my dreams.
Because you have a lot of buried deep down in there.
Yeah.
No, it's makes you have crazy dreams.
But it's also
that's
subconscious.
the thing. I already had crazy dreams before I went on. So now they sometimes like genuinely, they are better than my real life.
Yeah, same. I love my dreams. They're so always, most of the time.
Sometimes you have scary ones though.
I will have such romantic dreams that are so like exactly what I would want to happen in real life. And then I wake up and it's just not like that at all. And I'm like, man, this sucks. If I could just control everybody with my mind, I could create the perfect romantic life for myself.
Yeah, you're all witches.
I think I am. I really am starting to think that I manifested my entire life and I can manifest anything that I want.
Definitely. See, I taught you guys that.
UPS man is
witches.
here. I hope it's for me.
No, I do agree. If you want something bad enough, you can manifest it, whether in a dream or in
definitely.
reality. It kind of works the same way.
Everything is energy. It's what you tell yourself. Affirmations work. Affirmations are real.
That's what I taught you to manifest. And now it's working like you guys do it. So that's really cool to see.
Well, if you want something bad enough and you have a vision for it, every single decision that you make is going to be towards that vision. It's that simple.
Yeah, but it wasn't that simple a long time ago.
I actually think now I have more of a positive mindset than you do. Because sometimes I catch you saying very negative like strings of thinking. Yeah. And I don't even do that anymore. I literally feel like I've retrained my brain. Of course, I still have negative thoughts, but like I really feel like I've retrained my brain, especially when I'm talking about myself or thinking about myself. I really try hard not to speak down on
definitely myself. I think, I've been in and out, but yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a constant. It's something that people have to constantly work at, honestly.
Exactly.
Positivity is so tough to keep up with, like, all the time. Like, you should do something positive for yourself every day, or think something positive every day, or wake up and feel grateful and blessed, blah, 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 blah.
I've gotten to the point, though, where it's like, because I just like my life and like myself now, it doesn't feel like an effort. Like, sometimes I will force myself to do affirmations just because I feel like it puts you in such a good state of mind. And it's just like, I think the subconscious mind is so powerful. I think that's what most people don't know, is that your subconscious brain is honestly, in my opinion, more powerful than your conscious brain.
Yeah, no, definitely
because there's
is.
The things that I have noticed that will come out of my subconscious are like when you're not even thinking about an answer to something, it just kind of pops into your brain and you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah, that's why psychology is so interesting. And I love reading. My favorite books to read are about philosophy and psychology, because it's the two things that kind of explore the subconscious in a sense. And I feel like the more you understand about it, the more you can sort of level yourself up in reality.
So you like reading, I like listening.
If I didn't go down the path of YouTube and social media, I feel like I would have been some sort of psychologist / artist. Like I feel like I would have been a therapist, because I love talking to people about their issues and I love trying to figure out ways to help them be happier.
I used to do that with my friends, and then they didn't listen. So
until
I was talking myself
ADHD
blue
brain
in the
kicks
face.
in, Kennedy, and you're like, wait, let me tell you something. The other day,
Yeah, you're a therapist.
you're like, wait, isn't this my therapy session?
You start using your patient as a
that's
therapist.
true.
Okay. Anyway, we're gonna have
Brandon
to head
has
out.
to
On the
go.
next episode, we're all gonna do together. Also,
Yeah,
these mics, I know they look like, but they're not. We got new colored heads for them. So
Thank you, Kennedy.
putting that out there because I know a lot of people probably had that thought.
Kennedy got them.
Thanks, Kennedy.
These were our gifts when we went to New York.
Yep. Okay. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Washing.
Good job, guys. We really
job.
made everyone believe that we like each other in that one.
Yeah, we did. We really did. Cory, leave this in.